I think today our emergency responders, they're walking through the carnage of war. They are the ones when everyone else is running away, they're running towards. They train for it, like daily, weekly, monthly, but they're not doing it at home. I mean, they're just so overwhelmed with their jobs that I think when they get off, they just want to shut down. They're seeing the consequences of not putting the same energy into their relationships that they put other places.
Statistically, first responder marriages, they have a higher divorce rate than the average couple.
Some of our responders might be into their second marriage. They might be into their third marriage.
There were some times that we questioned whether we're going to stay together.
She basically said, either you're going to change jobs or I'm leaving you.
We drifted apart. She found her world, I found my world, and it got to the point where it was irreconcilable.
I've been a firefighter for about 24 years. I started off in the military as a firefighter, and I spent 9 years doing active duty Air Force firefighter.
We got married in 2001, and I think the first real moment where it clicked for me what he does and the impact it has was actually 9/11. We'd only been married not even 6 months, and just that, the reality of, that could have been him, that could be him on any call. That was really the first point in our marriage, like, oh yeah, this is real, the threat is real.
He was already working for AMR, getting his EMT when we met, and got his paramedic, and then we got married. So I didn't really.
Haven't known any different since first responder life.
Yeah.
We were dating when we first started out. So I was a dispatcher in Boulder, and from there we got engaged, and then I got into law enforcement full time. And I didn't really consider the family aspect of it at the time. I just considered, hey, I've finally got to this point where I can start working full-time as a police officer. And it became really easy to become sucked into the culture and into the shift work, the camaraderie, to the detriment of our marriage.
I think there's a lot of pitfalls that could be experienced if you're in emergency response. The biggest is communication. The biggest is undeclared expectations. You start getting frustrated because people aren't giving you what they need.
Home, for most of us, we hope is a safe place. But unfortunately, sometimes we go home and our significant other is waiting with the honey-do list. It's like, hey, we need to get this done, or we need to get that done. And after one of the really bad calls that we've had, we've seen somebody die or something like that. We need a break. We need time to just kind of unwind and decompress from the day, and hoping that our loved one will be able to be that rock for us, but they don't know how to be the rock, because they don't see the stuff that we see.
I've come home, and when the kids were little and there was chaos around the house, toys, babies crying, Amber's obviously stressed, the house is in a little bit of disarray. There was times that I didn't respond well.
We've been gone for 24, 48, 72 hours. They've been left home to deal with the family life at home. That's going to create a lot of anger issues, a lot of short tempers, explosive behavior sometimes.
When the kids are driving you crazy, you can't say, well, when your dad gets home, because that may be 48 hours. And I'm a single parent a third of my life. And so it's hard because you go back and forth from that role of being head of the household to dad's home and stepping back.
She is a single mom for 48 hours. She's had 3 kids to discipline, feed, bathe, get ready for school, pick up from school.
One of the other things is we come home after one of the really bad calls that we've had, and it's like so the dishwasher's leaking, but you know, I just came from a really ugly call. That doesn't really amount to what it is that I've seen. So I lose perspective based on what I've seen on the job, and I don't see the perspective from the family member, from the significant other.
When he comes home, and you know, for me the biggest thing was something around the house. To me that was very high stress, but for him it's like, yeah, well, you didn't see what I had to deal with. That's where a lot of that animosity or kind of resentment can come from. It's like, no, we're important too.
We need 1 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons. I need a tablespoon.
Along with that, the intensity of it, and they get so caught up with their coworkers.
Being a first responder, specifically a firefighter, there is brotherhood, there is sisterhood, there is a kinship that's there. It's a family, because we're there for 24 hours. We literally live together for a third of our lives.
But unfortunately, sometimes they start neglecting their family members, and so the needs are not getting met at home. The communication's not happening at home. They're communicating with the people that they work with, and unfortunately that creates a big rift for the family, and they start choosing the work life over the home life.
I mean, I got kind of jealous of the fact of how much time he was spending at work compared to being at home, and it's just like, well, you know, what's more important? Our daughter was always asking, you know, well, where's Daddy? Daddy's working. Well, where's Daddy? Daddy's sleeping. Daddy's working. Daddy's sleeping. And I could tell it was just, she didn't feel that certain bond that she should have. You know, that a father-daughter relationship should share.
We live with the crews. Like, I mean, literally a third of our life is in that firehouse. And I think I struggled that when I first started, because I felt like I was responsible for them.
Emergency responders, they all have the same stresses that we all have. They're still coaching soccer. They still got homework to deal with at home at night with their kids. They have all of the same stresses. The difference is most individuals, they see or experience the potential of a traumatic event maybe a couple times in their lifetime. A 20-year officer will experience nearly 800 of those. There's a lot of fear that can come in because of the work that our people do.
Yeah, it's hard to sit back and watch, like during the Waldo fire, Black Forest, knowing that it was so close and watching it on the news. It was harder to be that close and actually like look out your window and see the fire when he was deployed.
You're sitting at home and you know that your firefighter is in the midst of that inferno. Well, they can't call you, they can't text you, they can't FaceTime and go, hey honey, I'm doing good here, and while it's all raging around them.
When the weather gets really bad, I know that they have a lot of calls on the highway, and that really stresses me out. Just knowing that he is out there, people don't always obey the law on the highway and move over. And a couple years ago, one of our firefighters and engines was hit, and that just brought it even more close to home.
The emergency responders, they're probably the most resilient group of people I've ever been around. Mostly because they have to be. But there is a toll that walking around the carnage will have on you. You do start to see the world different. It will impact your perception of people, and they need people to come alongside them, to lift them up, to care for them when sometimes they don't really experience the care that they need.
It will happen that you're going to see an ugly call. It will happen that you're going to develop deeper bonds with some of your coworkers. So learning how to develop those communication skills from the get-go and making that significant other, your significant other, your most important friend that you will ever have in your life, that's who that person is supposed to be, so that when all this other stuff comes up, this person's going to stand beside you rather than feeling like they're neglected or feeling like they're the enemy. I would recommend that couples get involved in marriage counseling from the get-go. They can go through their EAPs, they can go through their peer support if they have a peer support team, their chaplains, their pastors, life coaches, somebody that's going to teach them this stuff at the beginning of their marriage and throughout their marriage, as opposed to when they're in a crisis situation.
And sometimes you need to have somebody help you find those words or mediate. In our marriage counselor, we've only been with him 4 months, and I think we've grown more in that 4 months, just feeling safe with each other again to say, hey, you know what, this isn't working for me. We need to find a different way.
And I think you have to be respectful of your spouse and understand that what we share doesn't always need to be shared. It's okay to say I had a bad day and I had a call that affected me and I need a moment, and understanding that if that's your spouse or your partner, it's not who you need to be sharing those calls with. Those very graphic and vivid details are disturbing.
I've worked with quite a few spouses of various departments, both fire and police, and these wives meet the criteria for post-traumatic stress themselves.
And so that's what counselors are for. That's what their peer support's for.
We have a booklet that we give to the first responders for their loved ones, and it's called the Bad Call Plan. Is we have them discuss what they're going to expect from each other and how they're going to communicate that, so that when that does happen, they already have that plan in place.
When I get done from a day, where I've just dealt with a really bad car crash or a really bad assault or something, that I don't really want to talk about, give me a little bit of space. And there's been days where it's just like, hey, I just need a little bit of time. It's not you, it's just, I have to process this so we can get back to more of a normal state, before I come back in, in the living room. So have that conversation.
But also, I need 30 minutes, 20 minutes, define it so that I can respect that and know, okay, this is when we're gonna re-engage. You just consider that 20 minutes a continuation of the shift.
Once your loved ones have given that time that you've agreed on, then you hold up your part of it and you start engaging with the family members. And when you engage with the family members, engage 100%.
I found that just taking the uniform off is more than just a layering down. It's not changing my identity, but once that uniform comes off, I realize that I'm a husband, I'm a spouse, I'm a father, so I'm not a firefighter. I don't need to be a firefighter at home.
I think like you said, taking the uniform off, I make it a point, I don't get dressed at home. I take my stuff and I get dressed at work. Prior to getting off, I put back on my shirt, shorts, and then I go home. I think that is a huge step there. And just that drive, maybe listen to the radio, quiet time, just 10, 15 minutes just to decompress before I even walk in the house.
So obviously she's left-handed. You're not a firefighter at home. That's not your role. So you're a husband, you're a father, you're a spouse, you're the handyman, you're the lawn care, you're the pool guy if you have a pool. But it's a lot of people wear that badge 24/7. The roles have to change when you come home.
Being a law enforcement or first responder is not my only identity. I'm into flying, I'm into hiking and hunting. I have a wonderful family and a great wife and daughter, and so making sure that I'm able to transition in a healthy way, I think is important for everybody.
I think it's important to have non-first responder friends and have that balance of a group of friends that does understand and first responder, but also, whether it's a church group or sports or just something.
Well, and you hit on a good point. Mental health within the first responder world is just finally becoming more acceptable to talk about it openly, to address it, to recommend it. A lot of word of mouth advertising goes on for counseling and resources and classes, and the same should be happening with our spouses and our more, our significant others.
It becomes our responsibility in the agency, as command, as chaplains, as officers, but I also think as loved ones, to make sure you're getting what you need.
There's resources really available, but the first responders not sharing them with their families, whether that's we don't think they need it, whether we think we don't need it. Sharing those resources is vitally important.
And making sure that we let them know that we're accessible and available to them just as much as whoever in their family is serving at the agency. It's got to be everybody, because we want to make sure that we're providing the resources that are going to help these families be healthy and whole.
Many agencies offer tools and resources for their employees, the Employee Assistance Program, churches, pastors, chaplains, peer supporters. A lot of great resources out there so that you don't have to become a statistic and you can thrive in your marriage, in your relationships.
We took dance lessons last year, something I've wanted to do forever, and he surprised me with it. He's terrible. But man, I don't think we've laughed so hard with and at each other. So it's just finding things that still get you out of your comfort zone and trying new things.
I'm still working on that.
So are we.
Well, and it's something that it took us probably about 10 years of trial and error before we figured that out.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is our year.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It took us 20 years.
Yeah.
So. Not saying there's no hope, but now we know, and we're sharing that, and that's the biggest thing, is sharing from our history. If we don't look at the history, we don't know how to train for the future, and having those clearly defined conversations and being intentional in communication, and it's really helped us.
Take that same passion that you train with, the same accountability that you hold each other to on the job, hold each other accountable at home. Really take that same kind of level of passion into, let's have healthy marriages, let's have healthy relationships, let's make sure that we're parenting well. That's where I think we'll start seeing success.